Picture this, you just got the email. Subject line, congratulations on your promotion. Your salary is jumping from $75,000 to $92,000. That's a $17,000 raise. You call your partner, you celebrate, you maybe even look at a slightly bigger apartment listing that night just for fun. 6 months later, you sit down to actually check your bank account and something doesn't add up. You have less breathing room than you did before the raise. Not more, less. You're working later hours, you're more stressed, and somehow the extra $17,000 a year has evaporated into thin air like it was never there at all. If that sounds impossible, stay with me because it happens to people constantly and almost nobody understands why until it's already happened to them. This is the Finance Desk. I'm Bobby and I spend way too much time thinking about the hidden mechanics of where your money actually goes, the traps nobody talks about, and the math that explains why doing everything right still doesn't feel like enough. Hit subscribe because we're about to break it down. Here's the lie we've all been sold. More income equals more financial freedom. It seems obvious, right? Bigger number on the paycheck, bigger number in the savings account. Basic addition. Except that's not how it actually works for a huge number of people who get promoted or land a higher paying job. What actually happens is something I call the salary illusion, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it in your own life. The core problem is this: your lifestyle costs don't scale at the same rate as your salary does. They scale faster. And they scale invisibly, one small decision at a time, until you look up and realize the raise you fought so hard for actually left you worse off than before. Let's start with the part nobody warns you about: taxes and brackets. When James, let's call him James, makes $75,000, he's sitting comfortably in the middle of a tax bracket. But when that promotion bumps him to $92,000, a chunk of that new income gets taxed at a higher marginal rate. Depending on his state, that jump alone can eat 30 to 35% of the raise before he even sees it. So that $17,000 raise on paper is already down to something closer to $11,000 or $12,000 in actual take-home pay. And we haven't even got to the real damage yet, because here's what almost nobody accounts for. A promotion doesn't just change your paycheck, it changes your entire cost structure, and it does it quietly. First, there's the wardrobe tax. James's old job let him wear jeans and a decent shirt. The new title comes with new expectations. He needs sharper clothes, better shoes, maybe a couple of blazers. That's an easy $1,500 to $2,000 in the first year alone, and it doesn't stop there because now he has to maintain that wardrobe, dry clean it, replace it as it wears. Then there's the commute problem. The new role isn't at the same office. Downtown at headquarters where the real decisions get made. His commute jumps from 15 minutes to 45. That's an extra hour a day, 5 hours a week, sitting in traffic or on a train. That costs gas, costs a parking pass, costs a monthly transit fee. Call it another $3,000 to $4,000 a year easily. Now here's where it gets darker because the hidden cost isn't just money, it's time and energy, and those two things convert directly into more spending. James used to get home at 5:30 with enough energy to cook dinner. Now he gets home at 7, completely drained from the new responsibilities, the new pressure, the new expectations that come with managing people or hitting bigger targets. So what happens? He orders delivery 3 nights a week instead of 1. That's not a $15 decision anymore, that's a $45 decision, 3 times a week, adding up to another $3,000 to $5,000 a year that didn't exist before the promotion. And because he's exhausted and stressed in a way he never was before, the decompression spending kicks in too. More drinks after work with colleagues, because that's part of the culture at this level now. More expensive vacation booked in a panic because he desperately needs to recover from burnout. A gym membership he barely uses because he told himself the new title meant he needed to level up his whole life. Let's add it up the way we do here at the Finance Desk. $17,000 raise, minus roughly $5,000 to $6,000 in extra taxes on the marginal income, minus $2,000 in wardrobe costs, minus $3,500 in additional commuting costs, minus $4,000 in convenience spending from exhaustion, minus $2,000 in decompression and lifestyle leveling up. You're sitting at maybe $500 left over, maybe less, maybe negative if he also upgraded his car because he could afford it now. That's the salary illusion in full effect. A $17,000 raise on paper. Less than $500 of actual financial improvement in reality. He's working more hours, carrying more stress, sacrificing more time with his family, and financially he is almost exactly where he started. In some cases worse, and here's the part that really gets me. This isn't because James is bad with money. This isn't a discipline problem. This is a structural trap that's built into how promotions work in the modern economy, and it's rarely talked about because on paper everything looks like a win. Bigger title, bigger salary, more prestige. Nobody posts on LinkedIn about how their new job quietly destroyed their savings rate. There's actually a name economists use for a version of this: lifestyle creep, sometimes called lifestyle inflation. But I think that term undersells what's really happening because it makes it sound like a personal failing, like James just got greedy and bought some nice stuff. The truth is more insidious than that. The raise itself creates new obligations, new social expectations at work, new physical demands on his time and energy, and those new obligations come with a price tag attached whether he wants them or not. Think about it like this. Your salary is the revenue line. But just like a business, what actually matters isn't revenue, it's margin. A bakery that makes $1 million a year in bread sales but spends $1,001 on flour, rent, and staff isn't a successful bakery. It's a bakery about to go bankrupt, yet we don't apply that same logic to our own paychecks. We see the bigger number and assume that automatically means a bigger margin. It doesn't, not even close. Now you might be thinking, okay Bobby, this doesn't apply to me, I'm smart, I wouldn't let a promotion wreck my finances like that. And maybe you wouldn't consciously, but the trap doesn't work through conscious decisions. It works through 100 tiny unconscious ones. It's the extra round of drinks because everyone on the new team goes out on Thursdays. It's the slightly nicer car because I make more now, I deserve it. It's saying yes to a more expensive apartment because the mortgage calculator says you qualify for it. And qualifying for something feels the same as being able to afford it, even though those are two completely different things. Here's the psychological trap hiding underneath all of this. When your salary jumps, your brain updates your sense of what's normal almost instantly. James used to think $75,000 was solid, comfortable money. The moment he sees $92,000 on his offer letter, his brain recalibrates. Suddenly $92,000 feels like the baseline, and every purchase gets measured against that new, bigger number instead of his old spending habits. Researchers call this the hedonic treadmill. You get a boost, you feel great for a few weeks, and then your baseline expectation resets to match the new income, erasing the emotional benefit entirely while the new spending habits remain permanently locked in. So how do you actually beat the salary illusion? Because I promise you, this video isn't here to tell you to turn down promotions. That would be ridiculous advice. The answer is something I call the freeze method, and it's deceptively simple. When you get a raise, you freeze your lifestyle at your old income level for a minimum of 90 days before you make a single new spending decision based on the new number. No new car, no apartment upgrade, no wardrobe overhaul beyond what's absolutely necessary for the job. You let the raise sit untouched in a separate account, and you watch what actually happens to your spending patterns first. During those 90 days, you do the forensic accounting James never did. You calculate the real cost of the promotion. The extra commute, the extra hours, the wardrobe, the convenience spending that's crept in from exhaustion. You get an honest number for what that raise actually nets you after the new obligations are accounted for, not the number on the offer letter, the real number. Then and only then do you decide how to deploy the money. And here's the twist that changes everything. You deploy the majority of that new income into things that don't ask anything else of you. Retirement accounts, index funds, debt payoff, an emergency fund. These are the only purchases that don't have hidden follow-on costs. Buying a nicer house means bigger property taxes, more maintenance, more furniture to fill it. Buying a nicer car means more insurance, more gas. Investing $10,000 into an index fund means exactly that. $10,000 invested. No follow-on cost. No lifestyle creep hiding inside it. This is the exact opposite of what your brain wants to do after a raise. Your brain wants to celebrate immediately. It wants to prove to yourself and everyone around you that the promotion mattered, that you've arrived somewhere new. But the people who actually build wealth from a raise are the ones who resist that urge long enough to let the dust settle, do the real math, and then direct the money with intention instead of emotion. Let me make this concrete with numbers. Say you get that same $17,000 raise. Instead of absorbing it into a slightly nicer life, you run the freeze method. You calculate the honest cost of the new obligations, maybe $6,000 in unavoidable new costs like taxes and required wardrobe. That leaves $11,000 in genuine surplus. You put $6,000 straight into your 401k, $3,000 into an emergency fund if you don't already have one built, and $2,000 into a taxable brokerage account. You didn't sacrifice the promotion. You didn't turn down the money. You just refused to let the money quietly disappear into commutes and delivery apps before you even noticed it was gone. Do that every time you get a raise for the next 10 years and something remarkable happens. While your coworkers are stuck on the same financial treadmill, upgrading their car every time they get a bump, moving to a slightly bigger apartment every time their title changes, you're the one with a six-figure investment account, the one who can actually afford to take a career risk, the one who isn't trapped needing every single future raise just to maintain a lifestyle that expanded to swallow the last one. Here's the reframe I want to leave you with. A raise isn't automatically a win. It's a fork in the road. One path is the one almost everyone takes without thinking, where the new number becomes the new normal, the obligations expand to match it, and 5 years from now you're making significantly more money while feeling exactly as financially stretched as you do today. The other path requires 90 days of discomfort, 90 days of driving past the nicer car, 90 days of explaining to people why you're not living it up despite the promotion. But that path is the one that actually turns a bigger salary into real, compounding wealth instead of a bigger illusion of success. The salary illusion isn't really about salaries. It's about the gap between what you earn and what you keep, and about how quietly that gap can close the moment your income goes up if you're not paying attention. The families and individuals who actually get ahead financially aren't always the ones who earn the most. They're the ones who understand that every raise comes with an invisible bill attached, and they make sure they see that bill before they start spending the money that was supposed to be theirs. If this made you rethink your next raise, or made you realize you've already lived through this without noticing, share it with someone who just got promoted and deserves to actually keep the money this time. And hit that subscribe button because we're going to keep pulling back the curtain on the hidden math of modern money, one trap at a time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.